I'm Scott Al Miller. This is Nicaragua Live. It's Thursday night. Welcome to the live stream. Getting started a little bit late today. I've been trying for a while to get this up and running, and of course, a million people had come up with things they needed me to do while I'm trying to get this started. So I lose hours. I was ready to go hours ago, and suddenly it's, I've got to drive people places, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's live stream time. Like, I reserved this months ahead of time, and it's still, I'm spinning up the monitor here, and still everyone forgets that I'm doing this or schedules things and like acts like they don't know that I'm live streaming. It is, wow, that was a really loud, we gotta mute that, that's gonna be a problem. All right. Anybody on? No one's on. All right. So we've got a minute while we're getting things ready. I'm getting things set up here. Running just a little bit behind. Feeling kind of haggard getting the show put together. And feeling tired because once I'm running around for no reason, it's just exhausting really quickly. But all right. Just waiting for people to get on. Oh, some people are already here. La Marcelita está aquí. She is on the bus on her way here, so we're going to hopefully see her on the show soon. Janet is here. Hassan is here. Dia Kachimba. Janet says someone is on. Yeah, for some reason it was showing me no one on. Oh, there we go. Now it shows people on. That's weird that it wasn't doing that. It's way behind. Now there's a lot of people on, so that worked out okay. But it definitely took it a minute to register everybody. How is everyone doing this week? Everybody hear the birds? I'm very dehydrated today, too. I've got my background decorated with cameras and lenses, and then I noticed my whole desk is covered in lenses. I got this one sitting here. I got this one sitting here. Oh, they're coming into focus. That's nice. I've got my new, these are not new, but at Christmas, there we go. My earpods in orange, of course. All right. I know I'm late. I've been trying for an hour. I was like ready to turn the camera on, and my wife's like, I need you to go grocery shopping. And so I had to run out and deal with a bunch of stuff when I was already ready to start. Like, everyone forgets that I have the live stream. Like, I need signs everywhere that said like countdown, and I want to start at like 2. Anytime I'm not broadcasting by like 2:30, which never happens, it means I'm scrambling and I'm tired of people trying to interrupt me. But basically, I'm always ready by mid-afternoon, and if I'm not up by mid-afternoon, it's because someone needs me to do something. Otherwise, I would be there. Marcella's laughing. All right, Marcella, where are you? Are you in Mata'are yet? ¿Estás en Mata'are? Cerca? All right, we got some people hopping on finally. And who knows how many, apparently. YouTube is way behind today. And so how are you guys doing? What's everybody been up to? Oh, I gotta move this. Still setting up my monitor here. There we go. Now I can see me and see what's going on. I like having that up there. And we got a couple of videos recorded today. It's not behind. Estoy pasando matares. Oh, perfect. Perfecto. Perfecto. So she is just leaving the Managua area. We'll be here soon. Son says, this is a good time. What's popping, Scott? Cuéntenos algunas historias del estado de Nueva York. I will regale you with stories of New York. I don't know what stories I have. anymore. Used to live in Ithaca for a while. I really miss living in the wine country. That was pretty amazing. The years that I spent there, there was so much good food, so much good wine. But I suppose that world is gone. I bet Ithaca is nothing the same anymore. It's probably terrible. Everything's too expensive. Can't go out. Ecom Insider is here. Hey, Ecom, how's it going? I bet if I went back to Ithaca, I'd be really disappointed. I lived there at what must have been the peak of Ithacan culture. It was so nice. We had so many restaurants, and everything was safe, and it was expensive, but approachably expensive. And the wine was really coming into its own. It hadn't quite become mainstream yet, but it was really good. Oh, Marcella says we are preparing a new tour to record in Managua. We do have some things we're going to record in Managua. That is true. Now I'm wishing I had gotten some food. I'm running ragged trying to get on the show, and then once I'm here, I'm like, wait, now I'm hungry, and I'm going to be hungry for hours because there's just no way to eat once the show has started. Hassan says, I went to camp at Cornell in 1989. Wow. So I used to live just off of Cornell campus in the woods, off of Sanctuary Drive, and then later at Observatory. Observatory would not have existed. I'm not sure Sanctuary did in 1989, but I moved there in the 90s, and I started hanging out in Ithaca probably, 91, 92, probably seems about right, and then moved there in 2000. But was there a ton before that. Spent loads and loads of time. My best friend went to school at Ithaca College, and so I would before he went there, we would go down and hang out in Ithaca quite a bit as part of his deciding about it. And then when he went to school there, I went down and hung out all the time. And then when I started my company, he helped by hosting us on his couches for the first couple of years. And then we got houses there and lived there for a long time. And met my wife when she was a forensic biochemist living in Ithaca. So Ithaca has always been very important for us. Those really defining moments of life, Ithaca was very central to a lot of that. It's kind of like the show Friends. Right, I'm the same age as those people, and I had this really interesting life at those ages, that early 20s, where we had mansions in Ithaca, which is a tiny place out in the country, and yet it feels like the big city in many ways. And so we had this very city experience of living in Ithaca and having this whole lifestyle of loads of friends who were all starting their professional careers, and we all lived together in one giant mansion, and that was custom built for us. And it was this really, really wacky time in our lives where we had this truly amazing place to live, and lived in this really amazing neighborhood. And we made the restaurant guides and stuff online for the town. So we were out doing restaurant reviews all the time and making websites and starting businesses and involved in just a million things and always so active. And because we had so many friends in the house, you would show up after work or just work from home, and then everybody would come home, and it would every night was just an adventure. We're going out to eat, we're going out to get wine, or going to a show. We'd go to musicals and Broadway shows and theater, and a lot of my roommates worked in schools, so we'd go see school productions all the time. There was just always stuff going on, that we would go concerts all the time. It was a really cool lifestyle, really neat time in our lives that I miss. It was neat. My wife, it's too bad my wife's not in here, because she would reminisce quite a bit about it. It was a really, really unique time, and I don't know anyone who lived a life like that. It was so different. I went to camp. Ecom says, have you tried shipping items to the U.S.? Wonder the cost. I have some small items to send back. I have not. I imagine it's pretty easy, but I've never tried it. So I really don't know. Son says, I remember the apple orchards and hills, Pleasant City, and the locals are friendly. I think I got a little bit less friendly over the years. It became kind of cold, but it's always a cool place. Luke says, hola, made it back from that Bajo run. Yeah, where did you go? Hassan says, Mansion of the Mind. Scott was in an upstate New York think tank. It kind of was like that. we used the house as like a launching pad. It was like an incubator for businesses and stuff, and really ended up working out well in that regards, as a place to live and as a place to start businesses, as a place to kind of start our professional lives and so forth. It was pretty amazing, I gotta say. I don't know anyone who had that kind of amazing experience. And we built like offices in the house and stuff, and we just had so much space. It really let us do a lot of things that most people couldn't. So we had the whole house cabled up for Ethernet in the 90s, which was amazing. Or I guess it wasn't the 90s. This would have been, I guess late 2000, early 2001. So a little bit later, but we had Ethernet run to every room. Everything was wired up. We had a server room in the basement. We had Active Directory for our house. Like, it was crazy stuff. Like, even now, I don't know. Now, I guess we did wire up our house for Ethernet in 1997. But that was a much poorer house. That was my first house. That was in Rochester. I had an apartment with the person who would go on to be my corporate co-founder. He and I ran cables. Now, we didn't put them through the walls. We like wrapped them around the stairwells so that we didn't modify the apartment because we were poor back then. And in our basement, we had a server and a big metal table with 3 workstations. And then in the corner, we had another workstation. So 4 workstations total. In this basement, there's 3 of us that live there. And so we would have friends come over and we'd be able to set them up to play like MUDs and stuff. And we did networking in the house. And then we had another computer in like the kitchen. And this is back when computers were slow and problematic and networking was like the most amazing thing. And no one had internet access at home. And we were able to get dial-up. If anyone remembers Alta Vista dial-up, we had that. And we had Windows Pro, Windows 4.0 workstation. No, it must have been server. Windows 4.0 workstation with Proxy Server 2.0. And if you used Windows NT to connect to Alta Vista, it would crash because they did not write their code correctly. But the system that they used to cut you off, because what it was supposed to be, you would use dial-up, and after 30 minutes or an hour, something like that, it would cut you off. You could dial back up, but it would cut you off. So everyone with Windows 95, Windows 98, they would run the Alta Vista software. It would connect, and then after an hour, it would disconnect, and they'd have to connect again. Beep, 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 go through that whole thing, and you'd get annoyed, and you'd stop using the internet. But for us, we hooked it up, and it would crash, but it wouldn't disconnect. So their software would stop running, and we would keep the connection open. So we would get about a week out of every dial-up, and then it would just die, and we'd have to dial back up again. But instead of having it like normal people, you couldn't leave it running through the night. You couldn't do downloads or anything like that. For us, we were able to do big downloads because it ran all the time. We essentially had full-time online internet the way that people do now, back when dial-up was still very rare and weird. And it worked incredibly well and incredibly cheaply, and 3 of us shared it. And because 3 of us were sharing it, what we did is we got this proxy server, and it would go online all through the night and go to websites that we would normally go to. So if we read the BBC News, for example, it would go to the BBC, and it would cache all the website during the night. And then during the day, if you went to read the news, you go to bbc.com, and instead of going out to bbc.com on dial-up and really slowly pulling it down, it would have the entire website loaded on a server in the house and show it to you instantly, much like we have caches do today. But this is back when no one had this stuff, and it was a centralized cache for the house. And so if I went even to a website that we didn't normally go to, we didn't have these things, but let's say I went and found a meme that was funny, and I sent a link to my roommates. Well, the link would be cached. Anything that I looked at during the day would be cached on the server. And so if I went back to it, it would load instantly. If I shared it with my roommates, it would load instantly. And so we had this amazing experience that mimicked modern internet with performance and features for dirt cheap. It was free on Alta Vista dial-up. And the way that Alta Vista made their money was by showing you ads in their app and by cutting you off, because they knew if you let it go for hours, you weren't looking at the ads. But because it would crash, it would stop showing us the ads, which actually made our connection go faster because it didn't have to load the ads like it did for normal people. So we had a vastly better Alta Vista experience than normal people did because it crashed. And they never fixed it. They went out of business before they fixed it. It was crazy. We're trying to... Luke is back. Hassan says that was cool. Thank you. Luke says Bajo Tradicional near Hospital Bautista. Ah, interesting. Luke says 96 Oahu had 1 million people on the island, and AOL only had 3 numbers to dial in. MSN had 2. 96. 96 was rough. 97 started getting much, much better. It was like a big leap. But so it was this really cool experience because we'd have this server in the basement doing that. And then we had another server that we used for sharing files around the house and sharing a printer. So we had like business class printing, business class user management, and all this stuff way back when. And we were using Windows NT, not Windows 98, not the home stuff. We were using the commercial stuff. And we were running Linux by about 98. We had the combination of the two in the house, and that's how we were doing everything. It was very, very cool. So what an experience that was, and that's where we built all of our early experience and technology and learned a million things. We would get books on everything, and we had this unbelievable network in the house, and we got to learn everything firsthand there. And we like got networking gear. This is back when it wasn't like no one had ever seen a hub before, let alone a switch. We would mount it to the wall, and we'd had all the indicator lights and actually looked at them because they actually meant something back then. And we're building our own routers. Nowadays, you buy a router for $30. Back then, we would spend hundreds and build it ourselves because you couldn't buy them at the store. Like it was a wild time. But that's how we got started. And then by the time we moved to Ithaca, we brought that kind of mentality with us and always had the same kind of thing. We have about 16 people on, doing all right. I'm going to need some questions, though, because I'm already feeling a little bit tired. I'm going to need to have someone bring me caffeine, but I don't know if anyone's around the house to do so. And I don't know if we've had dinner. I don't know what's going on in this house. I'm very disconnected. And you guys are very quiet. And there's the dog. All right, hold on. Gonna go let the dog in. The perennial problem. The big one is very much asleep. Come on, little boy. I hurt my knee this week. I don't know what's going on, but my left knee keeps giving out. I must have hyperextended it or something. I don't know. There was a glitchy start 5 minutes ago, but now it's gone. Interesting. Go get some Guinness stouts. I don't like Guinness all that much. It's like I like stouts. Guinness is fine. One thing, Guinness is better in Ireland. Like it actually tastes better when you're over there because it's just fresher. But it's the same Guinness. They're not making it differently, although I think that they do bottle it now in the United States. But it is better over there. RM says, do you ever have any problem finding clothes that fit you in Nicaragua? There's nothing that fits me in Nicaragua. I can't buy shoes in Nicaragua. I can't have custom shoes made in Nicaragua, for real. We've been to the markets. We've been to the cobblers. They can't make them. So all my clothes come from the United States. I've never found any way to get clothes here. Goobs is here. Hi, Scott. Hey, Goobs. Hassan says, y trae algo de lado oscuro. Yeah, get some lado oscuro. I could do that, although that's going to make me sleepy. That's very heavy. Jan says, I don't have a question. I'm waiting for a class, and I'm trying to figure out what in the world to eat. Right? I need a snack of some sort. But the problem is, once you have a snack, all the blood goes to your stomach, and then you start falling asleep, so it wouldn't do me any good. I'm hoping that Marcella gets here and is able to join us on the show. That would be really cool. She's not been able to do that in a very long time. And I'm always doing this show alone, which is cool. When we have a lot of people on and a lot of people asking questions, a lot of things happening, it's pretty good. But there's a lot of times that it's just me and it gets a little bit quiet. And it's like, oh, I'm just in a quiet room all by myself. And sometimes it can be a little bit hard to stay focused and stay on top of things. So that'll be good. I am thinking about getting another camera. we will see. But this XS20 is so good. I'm so happy with it, but I really need another working camera so we can do things. Father needs food. It's true. They're always busy. But this XS20 is so good. And they have this XM5 that's out now, which is 2/3 the size. It doesn't have as long a battery life, but we're plugged in. And it uses the same lenses, same sensors, same settings. It looks exactly the same. It's the same processor, but it's way smaller and would be good to use as a backup camera and film additional angles and stuff, or to be able to record 2 concerts at the same time, because we do a lot of that stuff. Like, that would be like super cool. So I do have a second photo camera for when we're doing concert. Oh, we're having streaming issues. Fingers crossed that it clears up. I'm going to ask Ida to bring me some caffeine because I am already feeling it. So having two, because I do photography at concerts and stuff. Here we go. And I take this D3500 out with me all the time. This is my workhorse camera for photography, and I love it. It's a Nikon. It's been really, really good. I can't see if that... I'm going to do this again. Did it get a nice... Yeah, there we go. It's not 100% sure what to focus on, but it's... there we go. It's a beautiful camera. I love this a lot. If anyone's like interested in like semi-pro photography, you don't want to break the bank, but you'd like to play around with something, a Nikon D3300 or 3400 are fantastic. This is the 3500. It's going to cost you more than it should, so I wouldn't recommend this one. The 3400s is essentially the same camera, like every aspect. And I have a great video about that on the Camera Cafe. But with this... I'm able to get affordable lenses that are really nice. The camera is just great to use, looks amazing. And so the body on this is about $300 probably. Boy, it's dusty. I really need to clean that. But the 3400 is like $150. So like, well, $160. So right about half, just under half the price. And so it's like the same camera, and I have multiple lenses. And so I own the lenses for things, so there's no reason not to have another camera body, be able to do 2 things at the same time. So I ordered one. It should be coming on my next shipment on the maritime cargo shipment. And this one, I've got a 50 millimeter lens on there, which is this is APS-C, so it's really a 75 millimeter equivalent. And then I've got a 35 millimeter that's also screaming fast like this one. This is an f1.4. I think that one is too. Then those can be on... Is that out of reach? Yeah, I'm not sure where I set it. Yeah, I don't know. And that one's a 50 millimeter equivalent. And so I'm going to have Marcella using the D3400 and doing shots at the same time that I'm using the 3500. So I ordered one that's like identical. But I really like these if you're not looking for video. Everyone says, yeah, I'm looking for photo. I'm like, okay, you can't do video. And they're like, what? No, I was going to do video. I'm like, that's why I specified. If you're going to do photo, having a DSLR can be really nice. And it's a lot of fun. And I just find it's a very enjoyable to use. Ida can be on the show. Ida, ¿puedes estar en la cámara?
No.
Oh. Quizás cuando estás lista para salir.
Sí,
okay.
Pero sí, no tengo camisa y ya.
Oh, gracias. My Pepsi is here. And so this is really a fun camera. But having 2 of them is going to be really beneficial. But $164, I got the other one, and that's going to be really, really good. And I think you can get a D3300, which is nearly the same camera as well, for like maybe under 100. I need to look that up, but it's really good. What's the latest in Nicaragua as far as latest attractions besides the new Central Park? Ooh, I don't know about any attractions. Anybody? I'll leave this open to the group. Here we show my Pepsi has arrived. Yay. Ida says she will get dressed up and be on the show later. But, boy, I don't know of anything new going in. I'm probably just not thinking of something. Everyone gets a new water park from time to time. I don't know how much they are attractions, right? It's kind of everyday life things. But if you're a kid here, a lot of those things are fun, the dinosaur park and all that stuff. Luke says you can only fit 3 camera systems in the bag. Which one has to go? I fit camera systems like this in the bag, my little tiny. This is my DJI Pocket 3. Like these fit in the bag. Can't be putting DSLRs in the bag. These go in the big backpack. I've got a huge backpack with multiple DSLR and mirrorless compartments. So that's something I bring. You can't even see them all. I have cameras that are off over here, and I've got all these lenses. This is the D3000. This is the Olympus. The Fuji is what we're on. It takes they got 2 of the Sonys over here, but there's another Olympus off the edge. There's lenses everywhere. You can see all these white lenses behind me, but I'm really struggling to reach. Oh, I didn't get this cap all the way on. Good thing I was doing this. I've got this. This is one when I'm doing the from the side shots. This is the one that I'm using. I love these white ceramics. They're so cool. Suri Sniper 16mm f1.2. We'll just. There we go. Got a little spot for it. It's with its siblings, and there's still one more missing. Where is it? That's only 4. I think the other one might actually still be in the. Wow, I really don't know where it is. Huh. Losing lenses, always great. RM says, I couldn't find an XL shirt in Leon to save my life. I enjoyed my trip. Thanks for all the info. Oh, awesome. When were you here, RM? An XL can be found, but they are hard to find. It's amazing that anything larger than an L is hard to find. Like, seriously? But even like at the stadium, you can't get them. I never use this camera because it's terrible. But if you're ever looking for something really goofy to just kind of keep you interested in things. Oh my gosh, it's dusty. This. Oh, come on. There we go. The Candao from QCam is, and it comes apart. This is a 3D camera, which is already yellowed, sitting on my shelf, which is pretty crazy. It's nothing special. It does not produce great images. I don't even know if there's any battery on this or power. I'm going to power it up and see what happens. See if we can actually get it to turn on. Oh, it's turning on. Look, I've not used this in a year. Like, it's super cool, though. And, oh, there I am. Should be to it. I can cover it up, and it doesn't even notice. And, but it's got 2 lenses, so it's in 3D. And I can take a picture, hopefully. I don't know what mode it's in. Let's see if, oh, it's at 97% battery, too. Okay, that's not bad. Let's see if we can get this in focus. Oh, no SD card. Oh, interesting. Anyway, so it produces 3D images and of relatively low quality. But what's cool is it will then show them on the back, and you can use this quite obvious ripoff of ViewMaster, and you just attach it to the back, and it's magnetic coated, so the magnets just pull it on. You got to do a little bit of work to get it to snap in once you've got it on, but it does snap on at some point. There we go. I got the one side, and then you can get the other. Get the dust off of it, and then you hold it like this, and you look into it, and even if I just do this, it's a live view. It's all in 3D. Like, it's live 3D view. So you can go around and compose shots and take pictures like this if you want to see them in 3D. But once you take pictures, you can look at the pictures in 3D right on this, which is honestly pretty cool as a concept. The real problem with it is that the quality is so low that it's very gimmicky, and by the time you actually do this and then try to show it into a regular headset, it really leaves something to be desired, but it gives you a little bit of a taste. But if you just want to do like a ViewMaster type thing, it's super fun and quirky, so consider it. Where do you put, it's like a ViewMaster, where do you put the film disc? Yeah, digital ViewMaster is exactly what it is. Emma says, thanks for showing your camera equipment. This is really cool. I'm glad you enjoy it because this is a huge part of my life and a huge part of my work that I do. And I'm never sure if it's interesting or stupid. But I used to be a professional photographer, and I've been into photography since I was about 8. And it sounds like, okay, yeah, kids are into photography, and I'm not saying I was a great photographer, but when I was 8, I did a whole bunch of photography using old Kodak disc cameras. And if you go look at the disc groups now, my photographs are some of the world's best known examples of Kodak disc photography from when I was 8 years old, 1984. I took so many pictures and protected them over the years, kept them, and published them so that there's actually, like, magazines have contacted me about publishing my work from that era because they're like, no one has the collection of this type of camera stuff that you have. And so now I do a lot of that type of photography where I really focus on, like, this is this type of like this camera, this lens, like, so the people who are interested in that kind of stuff can really track it down. So I'm going to see if I can find this camera. There we go. So this camera really hasn't changed in a long time. It's the Candout Ego. I'm going to put up the link for everybody right in the show, just in case someone wants to get one of these. It is super, like, trust me, it is goofy. Please do not buy this and then later be like, oh, but Scott said it was so cool, but this thing is kind of wacky. Yes, it is kind of wacky. But for $300, right, it's a digital ViewMaster where you can make your own stereoscopic images. Comes in black or white. And now it says 24 megapixel 8K photos. I guess it probably does that. 4K stereoscopic. Yeah, it's pushing it. It's a single 4K image. Can we get some more B-roll stuff on your videos? Cool to see some local sites and places. Yeah, Jason, a lot of it is because my foot, I have tendonitis, and I don't have a driver's license. So there's a ton of time that it's like, I can't get out to do B-roll. I want to. I love doing B-roll. It's so much more fun. It produces such a more interesting show. But right now, it's such a struggle to get out and do the show at all. Robin says, hello, we had a silly question about delivery services from places like Temu. I'm not sure if this is more a US-based shopping app or if we can get things delivered to Nicaragua from them. You can. Right? So you can do two things. You can ship directly to Nicaragua, which is probably a lot more work, even though it's direct, or just ship to the U.S. and have it drop shipped here, the same as you would with Amazon or whatever. Anything that ships in the U.S., you can get here. But obviously there's some reason, especially if it's coming from China, to send it directly here, because you might easily get it cheaper and faster and whatever. So that's a very real potential way to do it. So I've never heard of anyone here shopping on Temu. So it's definitely not something that people are just running out and doing. But it should be no problem to be able to do that. Now, what will be really nice is if they came up with an upgrade to this that took it to another level. That would be good. The concept is solid. It works for the most part. Oh, also I have to point out, it is not autofocus. So you are stuck. Wow, it has weird dust collected on it. It's super strange. It is manual focus. So you've got to like select how far away stuff is, and then it just kind of locks in, and you're like, okay, super awkward, but it kind of works. I wish that I could take pictures with it and show them to you in an easy way, but I can't. It just doesn't let you. It's got to be a bit of work in order to use it, but it's fun. There's no question that it's fun. And what's really nice though is if you're going to go out and do things, you pull it apart, which only takes a little bit of work. And then this whole viewer you don't have to have with you, right? It's just mirrors and a lens. Mine's kind of dirty. It really needs some cleaning in there. That's all right. It's just the viewer, so it doesn't matter. And so this is the only part you have to take with you. And so you can just hold it like this and go out and film, and it'll go on a tripod. So if you want to like do stationary stuff, you totally can. And it's, it's a fun little camera to just be like, I'm filming stuff in 3D, and then go home, and it'll do video or photographs. Honestly, the photographs is way more interesting in most cases. But you can imagine doing some like family events and being like, okay, this is fun. We're gonna do, baby's first Christmas, and you're gonna record everything and put it on a tripod so it's not moving around, and turn on the lights, make sure you have it nice and bright, and it'll give you a pretty decent image. And then later you can go back and you can watch it on like a Meta Quest Oculus headset in huge resolution and have this massive 3D image that you're looking at. Or you can just break this thing out and watch it as like a old home movie on a Viewmaster kind of vibe. And either way, it's like, okay, actually we're seeing family memories in 3D. Okay, pretty cool. Like, honestly, that is pretty neat. So what I want to do is get a 3D printed mount for my GoPros that will allow me to have full 3D off the GoPros, because their image quality is so much higher. Now that I have the 13 with the wide angle adapter, if I got a second 13 with another wide angle adapter and mounted them together, I could get this unbelievably large field of view with the super high resolution 5.3K off the GoPros. That's very high quality, and then it'll make this into this will just be silly, but people do that, and it works out really well. Arm says, visited in November, my luggage was lost, had a heck of time finding clothes that fit me. Good trip though. Ooh, yeah, that's losing your luggage coming into Nicaragua and then having to track down clothes. That would be tough. I just want to point out, if you're on Amazon, the price for this camera with the viewer is $300. But if you're on Candau's site, which is also on Amazon, you can get the one in white like I have for $290. Okay, it's not much of a saving, but you can get the black one for $237, which is actually pretty cheap. So at $237, and now I have it with an extension pole, and I have multiple batteries, and mine came with a card. It's just not in it at the moment. And it came with a multi-battery charger. So I've actually got 3 batteries. You can swap them out. I never use it because it really isn't that high a quality. But it is fun. But I have so many cameras that I don't need that one for fun. 110 Cupcake 123. Are cameras cheaper in U.S. or Nicaragua? Oh my gosh. They're so much cheaper in the U.S. There's not even a camera store in Nicaragua. What's a good camera store in Nicaragua? None. Literally none. Nobody sells cameras here. So every camera here is either used and sold. Like, if I was like, oh, I'm going to get a new camera, a lot of people will then sell their old ones, and then they get used for decades. But I don't do that. I keep mine because I'm selfish. And so every single camera that you see normally is shipped in from the U.S. or directly from China. Nothing comes from here. I have kicked around the idea of opening a camera store because obviously I like cameras and that would be fun, but it would be not profitable. There's no way to sell enough to make it make sense. So you'd have an inventory problem. But if you are wondering, the Nikon D3000 series are like the most popular cameras in the country. You see them everywhere. So that it's what I use is completely coincidental, because I've been a Nikon guy since the mid '80s, late '80s, and kind of stuck with it when I went digital. So I had a Nikon D50, their first digital, and this is back 2000. I want to say like 2002. I got that, and then and it was really nice. That was the D50. Then, which is kicking around here. No, somewhere, I don't know. And antique D3000, but I like it just from an antique perspective. And then a number of years ago, I got this D3500, which is really cool, and I'm super happy with. But it's a rather old camera at this point. I think it's 2018, so it's like 8 years old, 7 years old. But it's just fantastic. And if you see my images that I have on Flickr from all the concerts, that's normally the D3500. And once people see it, they're like, what? Like, this stuff's crazy good. So it's very popular for its image quality. But the 3300 and 3400 will do the same. My point being, here, most places you go will be like a D3200, D3300. And if someone has a 3400, it's like, ooh, you've got a camera. The thing that I just bought for $164. Oh yeah, I'm seeing lag other places too. Hold on, I'm gonna chill for a second while there's lag issues. A 24-second pause. Holy cow. All right, guys, how's the audio? Let me know if you can hear me. James says, last May, I went to Nicaragua. I had a very hard time filling out the online form to enter. I had to find someone to help me with it. Do you have any advice or suggestions? Thank you. It's been a long time since I did the online form, but no one's needed it for years. That was a COVID form. So I don't think that website even exists anymore, but it's not necessary. I would say 99% of people don't do it because no one knows about it. Nothing tells you to use it. I'm not aware that the site is still up. People ask about it all the time, but I don't think that it actually exists. We may have to say this all again. At least my typing goes through. Hey, Unstoppable, how's it going? All right, it looks like it is working again. Okay, so Marcella is definitely struggling a lot. It's been tough. Today, I think she's feeling okay. She's going to be here shortly. She's in Nagarote right now, I think, going past Bryce's place. So hopefully, she will be here pretty soon and be able to join us on the show. That is the hope. But I'm going to jump back to James because I'm not sure anyone heard this. But you'll see that E.G. Centenos said no online form needed. James asked, last May I went to Nicaragua. I had a very hard time filling out the online form to enter. I had to find someone to help me with it. Do you have any advice or suggestions? And that is, E.G. is correct. The form has not been required for about 3 years. So you should be all set there. Just it's not really a thing. Obviously, it appears to still be online, which we're not 100% sure if that is still true. But it's last time that we looked into it, it was I think it had actually been taken down. So you don't have to worry about it. But even if it is there, like they're not telling anybody about it or anything. So people are really unaware that it exists at all. So you're really in good shape as far as that goes. That it's just not important. You don't have to worry about it. And I don't know anyone who's filled it out in years at this point. When did I purchase my very first camera? So I got my first camera in 1984 as a gift. That was a super entry-level cheap thing. Like, it makes this look fancy, right? But I loved it. Fixed focus, fixed aperture, so easy to use, and taught me the value of low-quality images, like things that now people do, like retro and nostalgic stuff. That was my actual first camera, and it was terrible as far as that stuff goes, but it allowed me to learn a lot of other things about photography that I think were really important. So I really appreciate that. Then around 1990, 1991, I saved up and bought a Nikon N5005. This is film era, obviously, and that was my first So I'd grown up using cameras. My father had a Canon. I'll never remember which model. It was not the AE1 that everyone knows, but it was very similar to it. Through the lens, light metering, and interchangeable lenses. But my dad only ever had 2 lenses, so it was very boring. He had a zoom that was not very good, a really low quality zoom, and then he had a really high quality 50 millimeter, a nifty 50, and that was it. And it was essentially, this is a Nikon, but it was essentially this lens, but in a 35